sometimes it's cool to peek around corners with a lean, and we're going to do that in this episode. We're going to use the Q and E keys to lean, but if you'll notice in our L1 character, we already use the E key to interact with certain objects. If we see our input action, this is the E key. Now what could be an easy fix is you could just definitely go into the settings and change this to, say, the F key, which is something most do. But we're going to find a bit more of an advanced workaround just in case you don't want to do that, even though it might be the smarter option for most games. So essentially what we're going to do is after this line trace, we're just going to check if it hits anything, and if it doesn't, then we'll lean. But if it does hit something, then we will ignore the lean and continue with the interaction. You can definitely just easily just make them different keys. It is totally up to you. So off this false here, we just want to call a timeline. We're going to call this lean right TL for timeline. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is actually make a custom event for it. Just call this lean, and I will put the timeline here, and instead just call the custom event. And break that right there. Okay, it's a bit cleaner. And we're just using a timeline here to control the camera to just tilt it and move it a little bit to the right. So we can double click to open it up. I'm just gonna start closing these. Create a float track. We'll call it alpha. I'm gonna make it take 0.3 seconds to lean. Add 2 keys. I'm going a little fast here because we've done quite a few timelines, and you can see the pattern that I take with them. So make the first one at 0, time at 0, time 0.3, value 1, scale to fit. Gonna change this to auto, compile and save. Alright, so we're just gonna get the player controller, get control rotation, and set control rotation, or I have to pull that out of here, set control rotation. And we can just split both of these because we only have to mess with the X rotation. The Y and the Z will stay the same. And then the X is going to be a lerp, or linear interpolate, with the alpha as alpha, and the A will be 0 because that's the default, and we're gonna rotate it 20 degrees. We can actually go ahead and test that. So as long as we hit E and we don't interact with anything, the camera rotates 20 degrees, and we're stuck like this. But I also feel like it doesn't go out quite enough. I mean, if you like it like this, then perfect, then you have to do less work. But I'm also going to move the camera a bit to the right, just so it's a little easier to peek around doorways and such. So we're going to get our camera, get relative location, set relative location. Once again, split these. Y and Z will be the same, and then X will once again be lerped, with this as the alpha. Oh, I'm sorry, I just realized we're not moving it on the X-axis, but we are moving it on the Y-axis. So X will go to X, and then Y will go to the lerp. And the starting position will be the camera's Y value, and the ending position will be Y plus an amount you want it to move to the right. I found 2 to be a good amount, not too much. And you can definitely make this into a variable if you'd like. And just, I'll do it, why not? Lean amount. Something like that. And compile and save. And I'm just going to comment this out as lean, and this as interact. I should have been doing this since the beginning because I can very easily get lost in this mumbo jumbo we have right here. But won't keep wasting your time on commenting. Let's get back to it. So now, yeah, we should be set up to move the camera a bit to the right as well when we press E. So yeah, it does not go back, but you can definitely see that'll help with doorways. So let's trigger this jump scare real quick. Yeah. And if we want to peek around, that works really well. And let's just make it so we can go back once we lean, because our character does not have a crick in their neck. So once we release our action key, which is E, we are going to call another custom event, unlean. That's actually, we're gonna have to call these lean right, and then unlean right. I don't know if unlean is a word, but I don't care that much. So let's put that to reverse, and then once we go over E key, we will call unlean right. So now, when we play, if we hold down E, we're leaning, and if we release it, we go back. Not quite. We are actually moved even more to the right, so we can just keep moving right forever. Kind of looks like we're dancing. All right, let's fix that. And I've realized the problem. It's because on this lerp here, we set the starting position to wherever the camera currently is, and when we release it, it resets this to camera being farther to the right, so it just moves closer to the right. So instead of the camera's current Y position, it's just going to be 0. So now when we hit play, we hit E, it moves the camera 2 units to the right, and we release it, it goes back to 0. There we go. And now we just have to copy and paste everything to lean left. So let's just bring this down. Let's Control C, Control V. And I'll call this custom event lean left. This custom event unlean left. The timeline will be called lean left TL. Let's compile to get rid of the errors. The lerp, instead of rotating at 20 degrees, we want to rotate at negative 20 degrees. And we want to multiply this lean amount by -1, so it goes in the opposite direction. Now when we hit Q, which I don't think is set up as an input, so let's go to Edit, Project Settings, Input. We'll just call this lean left for now, because I don't know what else Q would be mapped to. Input action lean left. On pressed, we will just call lean left, and on released, we will call unlean left. So let's test it out. Hit play. If we hold down E, we lean to the right. If we hold down Q, we lean to the left. Now you'll notice one small issue, which I actually am just noticing right now, is if you hold down E and then you hold down Q, it kind of snaps to the position. Everything gets a little wonky because it's trying to do both at once. So we're just going to have to add a boolean called is leaning. It's false by default. And then when we start leaning, if we hold lean right, then we will set is leaning to true. And then if we're unleaning right, we want to set it to false once it's finished. So off of finished here, or off of direction, we're going to call a switch on E timeline direction connected to finish. So once it's done, if we were reversing, so if we were unleaning, then we will set is leaning back to false. So once we're done leaning, is leaning is set back to false. All right, so let's copy and paste that to lean left. Okay, right there. And then this same thing right here, copy, pulling these guys down once again, pulling this down, paste, direction in there, that to finished, and is leaning left. And lastly, we can only call lean left if is leaning is not true. And this goes the same for lean right. We all love the power of Booleans. All right, hopefully I've done that all correctly. And if we hit play, lean right, I'm holding down Q. Oh, okay, so I see our issue is holding down Q will do nothing, but releasing Q snaps this back to normal. So I'm realizing we will have to actually make two Booleans. Sorry, this is a little messy here at the end. I didn't encounter this bug the first time, and I'm just making up the solution on the fly. So bear with me. So we need an is leaning left and is leaning right Boolean. So we have our is leaning right here, and essentially what we want is we want to make sure we are both not leaning right or left. So and not leaning right and not leaning left. Perfect. And then we set is leaning right to true, and then off of unlean right we want to check if is not leaning left. And then after we finish, we set is leaning right back to false. Now we'll do the same on lean left, except we'll reverse it. So we can go ahead and grab is leaning left and not, because this will be the same here. So we're checking if we're both not leaning left or right to lean at all. And then we want to set is leaning left, not is leaning right. And then unlean left, we'll check if we are not leaning right. And then once it is finished, we are set is leaning left to false. All right. Hopefully that will work. Let's hit play. I hold down E, I'm leaning right. I hold down Q, nothing happens. I release Q, nothing happens. I release E, we go back to normal. And the same works on the left side. There we go. We are now bug free and we can lean either way. All right, looks like no jump scares are in there. Oh. All right, that'll be the end of that episode. Once again, I apologize for getting a little messy there, but we got it figured out together, and it is all working now. I will see you in the next one.